Orcs, who were once welcomed by humans on Earth, failed to adjust and instead became a demonic problem. The Night King arrives at a destination where he determines that an all-kill is possible and highly efficient. To achieve this, he oversees an operation involving a core overload and the release of radioactive material into a river. When his companion, Hari, questions if poisoning a river aligns with the honor of a knight, the king dismisses her concerns. He explains that fighting orcs is not war or battle, but rather the elimination of beasts, famously stating that a good orc is a dead orc. Unaware of the contamination, the battle axe tribe of orcs celebrates a recent victory. Their leader, Groktar, drinks the river water, noting it tastes prickly and itchy. Very quickly, the orcs begin to collapse in agony, begging for a witch doctor. The tribe's healer is baffled, noting that the affliction is neither a curse nor an enchantment. As the orcs are weakened, the king and his soldiers, the Leonhardt soldiers, move in to finish them off. Despite the orcs' cries of cowardice, the king remains cold, refusing to acknowledge them as anything more than inferior beasts. As the Battle Axe tribe is wiped out, several system notifications appear. The Battle Axe tribe has been eliminated. The entire orc species is now the player's enemy. Asterisk, a new hidden quest is triggered. Get rid of all orcs in the hidden quest field. With an orc shaman making a desperate blood offering, summoning the eye and right arm of Gokrok, the enchantment god orc. The system updates the mission to a final objective. Eliminate Gokrok, the enchantment god orc. The creature before me is an affront to existence. It cannot be permitted to live. I must kill it. It has the audacity to ask me who the god is that protects me, claiming to be a being akin to such divinity. Something like this dares to compare itself to a god just because it plays captain among a group of beasts. As the king of the lion heart, I will not and cannot tolerate its existence. I told the inferior mortal to die with regrets. The beast, Gokrok, screamed in agony. It was confused. It hadn't been its original body that was attacked, yet it felt the pain. It finally realized the power of my blade, the holy sword of radiance. It recognized me then, the orc executioner, the demon slayer, the sole survivor of that nightmarish world. Cowardly, Gokrok decided to fall back, promising I would pay for my boldness. I watched it go. I suppose that's the best god a bunch of garbage beasts like them could get. There were others left behind, seeking vengeance for their comrades, but they are not beings that should stay alive. Once the field was cleared, the system notified us that all hidden quests were complete. Rewards were distributed to all participants. The Orc Hunter trait, providing 30% more damage against orcs, and the War Knight's Men-at-Arms trait, granting 20% more physical attack resistance. My companions were amazed. Gaining resistance is usually a benefit reserved only for tankers. I ordered them to move fast and collect the loot, the right of the winner. We prioritized equipment from the witch doctors and items from high-ranked warriors. Amidst the cleanup, one of my people pointed out a remnant, the amputated arm of the self-proclaimed god, Gokrok. Sir Spin relayed a message through the steel. He could sense a considerable amount of mana from that arm and suggested I use the Holy Grail to absorb it. By doing so, the goddess would be able to grant us more power. As I held the Grail, I could sense a power similar to divine power within the limb. This god must have truly enjoyed the worship of those beasts, but I cannot accept those who do not love other creations. To me, they are just a force of evil that must be extinguished. The goddess spoke to me then, calling me her knight. I was concerned. She had bestowed her voice upon me even though I hadn't set up a ritual. She reassured me that it was easy thanks to the mana taken from that beast. She needed me to make a decision. She explained that she could recover the power of a sacred item using this new energy. I possess 4. The Holy Spear, the Holy Sword, the Holy Grail, and the Lion Heart. The power of the Holy Sword is currently a bit too much for me to handle, so I made my choice. I would recover the power of the Holy Grail. As the ritual finished, the Grail glowed with renewed light. It felt pretty good. My satisfaction was interrupted by a panicked call. I was told I needed to see something immediately. When I asked where Sir Spin had gone, I found him busy. The robot was relentlessly restraining a man who was screaming for help, completely ignoring his pleas. The confrontation begins with an accusation. This damn robot is attacking M. A man shouts, only to be silenced by the king. Enough. Watch your mouth, the king warns, if you don't want your tongue to get severed, that is. Stunned, the man asks if he is actually defending a robot. The king demands quiet, offended that anyone would address a knight so inappropriately. Turning to the robot, he asks, so what is it, Sir Spin? The robot, Sir Spin, provides a simple two-word answer, loot thief. The accused man panics, claiming it is a misunderstanding, but the king is unmoved. He orders Hari to go through the man's things. Despite the man's protests, Hari discovers the truth. This is the great orc warrior's heart. It is the most valuable loot from the orc gate. The king notes that the swindling of loot is a grave sin. The man continues to deny the theft, but the king delivers a swift punishment, severing the man's arm. I know that over here, the laws and what I deem common sense are different, the king declares. However, you're part of the king of the Lionheart's military. That means, what you are to obey isn't the law and order you know, but mine. He establishes his absolute rule. Those who steal will have their hands cut off. That is the law of the Lionheart Kingdom. While modern Earth people find his laws harsh, the soldiers are torn. The buffs they receive from the king are incredible, making D-rank hunters feel stronger than C ranks. They realize the benefits are too great to give up, and ultimately, the man was in the wrong for stealing. A soldier named Gu Daesung steps forward. He asks the king to allow the thief to retrieve and reattach his arm. The king argues that this would eliminate the point of the punishment, but Gu Daesung persists, explaining that they have lived with different ideals and were only just informed of the king's rules. That's reasonable, the king concedes. He heals the man, causing his arm to fully regenerate. The witnesses are shocked. Even an S-rank healer can usually only reattach an arm, not regenerate one from scratch. The king possesses combat power and healing abilities beyond known S ranks. The king dismisses the thief, telling him he has lost his rights but is forgiven this once out of respect for this world's laws. He then addresses the remaining crowd. Those who want to be part of my military, stay. Those who do not may take your share of the loot and leave. Everyone wants in. Later, the king, Leon Dragonia Leonhardt, and Grail Knight Sir Jag Spin enter a training facility. The king congratulates the recruits on passing the simple test of the Orc Gate, though he noted various problems with their fighting. He determines the most important issue is their bodies. He announces they will begin strict training. According to the Kingdom's Standing Army's training manual, he explains that physical training is about pushing the body to the limit to overcome it. He quotes a wise saying from Sir Gratas the Giant Slayer: humans become stronger the more you beat them up. The recruits are horrified as the king explains the most efficient training method: shred and beat up the bodies of soldiers and heal them after. This process makes muscles tougher and improves visual acuity as the soldiers try to avoid further beatings. Pointing at the terrified group, the king gives the command: now, beat each other up. Leon, the guardian of the Holy Grail, stood before his new recruits and gave a brutal command: now, beat each other up to a pulp. Until all the muscles in your bodies are ripped to shreds and your fists are broken. It's even better if your bones break too. No, make sure to break them. When the hunters protested that such training would destroy their bodies, Leon simply asked, why would it? He explained that as the guardian of the Holy Grail, all warriors near the Grail would be healed. The holy water would regenerate shredded muscles and put bones back in place, allowing for 5 hours of relentless, chaotic combat where there were no allies, only targets. He warned that anyone still standing fine after 5 hours would be beaten by him personally. Under the supervision of Sir Jag Spin, the hunters were forced into the fray. Any sign of hesitation or fraudulent acts was met with the threat of armed force from the training automated systems. The hunters, feeling they were going to die either way, descended into the insanity of the battle. The daily schedule for these hunters, known as the Steel Skin Project, was grueling. 9 a.m. Gratas Standing Army training begins. 12 p.m. Lunch, which consisted only of water mixed with salt and sugar. According to Standing Army Manual Number 0, soldiers need to be fed just enough not to die, and will only receive proper food once they become real soldiers. 1 p.m. Tactical training, including exercises where 5 groups must attempt to stop Leon while he charges at them on a horse. 9 p.m. Sleep, or rather, passing out from exhaustion. They only endured this training from hell, thanks to the care of Hari, who provided late-night snacks, a part of the routine that Leon had actually planned for. During shield formation practice, Leon personally corrected the posture of the trainees. He admonished one hunter for lowering his shield during a stab, explaining that a shield must also protect the right shoulder of an ally. A shield that's not in its position creates a gap, and a gap creates an opening, Leon taught. When a hunter questioned if Leon's hammer and anvil tactics could truly work against the monstrous creatures of the gates, Leon dismissed the concern. He described the monsters he had faced in his own world: 20-meter-tall giants, infinitely regenerating trolls, hydras, spiders ridden by goblins, and dragons that could crush mountains with one hand. He explained that while being well-rounded is required of a knight, soldiers need only to hone a single talent to heighten their chances of survival. The hunter, feeling like a mere peasant, asked if knights weren't meant to be aristocrats. Leon responded firmly, "Don't paint my kingdom with the colors of your world's logic. A knight is not something only aristocrats can become." He defined a knight as anyone who voluntarily walks the path of hardship with a noble duty, protects the people, upholds the good with courage, and swears eternal loyalty to the goddess. Inspired, the hunter declared his desire to truly become a knight. Meanwhile, at the United States Magic Tower branch, a mysterious entity communicated through a crystal ball. The entity was terrified of Leon, referring to him as a monster, and refusing to set foot on the planet while he resided there. Fearful of Leon's growing power, the entity ordered its follower to find a way to kill Leon while he still has no army, instructing them to enter the same gate as him. The entity's final plea was desperate. Please. Please die this time. Today was the graduation ceremony for the Pantheon Guild's standing army. After 4 weeks of intense training, we were finally ready to prove our worth by raiding a yellow gate. The plan seemed simple. 49 trainee hunters with an average rank of D, 1 observer from the association, and His Majesty, Leon Dragonia Leonhardt. However, the numbers didn't add up. While the record stated 51 people entered, the system detected 52. In the confusion, Sir Yappy rushed in, and the atmosphere shifted instantly. The mana began to fluctuate violently. Before our eyes, the gate's color warped from yellow to red. It was a fluctuating gate, a phenomenon where the difficulty increases exponentially. We were trapped. We emerged into a nightmare. A demon gate. Demons swarmed us immediately, but our training held firm. We raised our shields and formed the Leonhardt's testudo, moving forward into the magic squares despite the terror. As we fought, we felt it. Lionheart's aura. A massive buff was applied to every single one of us, granting * fortification and bravery, * great magic resistance and range attack resistance, * corruption resistance and infantryman slaughter. Even a B-rank hunter would struggle against the bloodhounds attacking us, yet we were blocking them through pure willpower and His Majesty's aura. The situation grew dire when a demon troll appeared. Its heavy attacks were equivalent to an A-rank monster, and for a moment, we thought our line would break. But Squad 3 Captain Gu Daesung held the line, realizing the troll's strength was light compared to the training we endured under His Majesty. With the arrival of Sir Yappy and Leon's decisive intervention, the troll was slain, not just defeated, but killed on the spot without being reverse summoned. Terrified, the remaining demons fled. Though we won the initial battle and saved the Sparrow Kingdom, the gate we entered through has vanished. We are stuck in this world for at least a week under the threat of a demon king. His Majesty remains undeterred. Even though he admits he is currently weak and can't guarantee victory against a demon king like he could in his own world, he stands as our hope. Little do we know, in the shadows, a dark priest watches us, preparing to awaken a creature of sexual desires to kill the king. The Sparrow Kingdom is a peaceful realm that takes pride in its millennia of history. However, it currently finds itself in an extremely precarious situation as demons have invaded the city. Only the palace remains, where survivors fight for their lives. This is the theme of the current gate. Leon and Kim Jinsu discuss the nature of the gate. Leon notes that while normally a dungeon break occurs when monsters are neglected, this gate is different because it has a time limit. The gate will close as long as the conditions of the quest are fulfilled. Leon reveals his true intention for the mission. He is thinking of killing the Demon King. He also inquires about Kim Jinsu's thoughts on hidden quests. Leon communicates with Ariana regarding the demonic energy in the gate. Ariana senses an energy of a different nature, a powerful being, likely a demon king or a lord-level demon, that has seethed into the world. Furthermore, Ariana conveys that another deity of the pantheon, Plu, wishes to inspect this world. To facilitate her descent, they will need to gather a specific energy. The group is welcomed at the palace by the head butler, Farco. Farco explains that the Sparrow Palace tells the long history of the kingdom, which has been served by countless queens, from the first queen, Fiora, to the current queen, Beatrice. Leon observes that it appears to be a matriarchal society. The group is led to the presence chamber to meet the queen. Duke Archium, the chancellor of the kingdom, greets them. He intends to bestow a knight position upon Sir Leonhard for his contributions to the battle at the palace gates and requests a speech. Leon, however, refuses to follow the expected etiquette. He states, "Before that, I'd like to greet the queen first." When the chancellor tries to stop him, calling him an outsider, Leon reaches his limit. Leon declares his true identity to the court. Greater than Queen. I am the Leonhart Kingdom's King of the Lion Heart, Leon Dragonia Leonhart. Greater than. When the chancellor continues to shout and demands the captain take him away, Leon reacts with physical force, grabbing the chancellor's face and slamming him down, leaving the onlookers in shock. Duke Archium. Why you? What is the meaning of this? Your Majesty. Why you? What is the meaning of this? How silly. How long do you intend on hiding your identity? Did you really think you could escape the eyes of the King of the Lion Heart? Show yourself, you dirty demon. Kehek. Hey. See could it be? The Chancellor is a demon. Puke. Over here too. Demons. Stop panicking. You lowly beings. Assemble. Fight as one. Then you will surely win. Keek. HMPH. Kiefer. They were hiding within the castle too. These evil bastards. Save me. Kiog. The demons have infiltrated the castle. Kill them all. Don't spare a single one. Stop. I get that you're loyal, but the fact that you're not prioritizing the royal family during such an emergency. The only one who has my loyalty is the Queen, Her Majesty. That's reasonable. However, I, the king, am in charge of asking questions and making judgments. The same goes to the queen. You need to know your place. The queen is not in the state of mind to make clear judgments. Since the chancellor has died, I have the authority. The energy of the corrupted fills this castle. You'll need to hurry up and eliminate them. Are you certain? A king does not lie. What do you want? Command over the soldiers. And the authority to get rid of the evil. I will resolve this issue, since you are powerless. I have been granted full authority. I am the Leonhart Kingdom's King of the Lion Heart, Leon Dragonia Leonhart. There are several people among you who have been possessed by demons. I'm sure their plan was to start a revolution along with the infiltration of the castle. But there is no need to worry. I have a way of differentiating between those who are possessed and those who are not. What is it? I'll show you. From now on, those who are not evil. Those who have not been corrupted. Those who are not heathens. Toss yourselves into the flame to prove your innocence. ! It is only expected that I show you an example. So I will show you. What the hell? Kyog. He really threw them in. He's gonna kill us all. Kiag. Kua. She's fine. Then what was that scream? Look. The soldier's body. Watch. Kua. These sacred flames only burn those who are evil. You need to thank Petos, the divinity of war and fire, and shout his name in glory as you walk through the flames. What do we do? Does it really only burn demons? Hurry and enter. Are you all corrupted? Or do you wish to be slain by my sword? Hike. Hurry. Damn it. Your stench is all over the place. I will punish you. I will rip your souls to pieces. You human. You don't even know your place. Don't think that you will die a peaceful death. You mere demon. Kyog. My ears. My ears. Kiag. You garbage. You arrogant worms. Who feed on the emotions of humans. You dare pretend to be human and walk on 2 feet. You dare group together. You dare pretend to be soldiers. You think I would allow that? You will die screaming in pain. Your cries of despair and suffering will echo throughout the world. I insane bastard. He's that mad about us walking on 2 feet. I feel like we've messed with the wrong guy. I think the infiltration plan has failed. Scream and cry more in pain. That is the only way you can make me happy. That person. Scary person. In the Sparrow Kingdom, a powerful figure addresses the citizens, reassuring them that as long as he exists, the evil species, known as demons, will be unable to harm them. He explains that these demons plant negative emotions in the mind and are the direct cause of all human suffering, including starvation, sickness, family disharmony, and even personal misfortunes like losing money in gambling or being rejected in love. He asserts that everything that has gone wrong in their lives, including a lack of right faith, is the fault of these creatures. To provide a means of retribution, he reveals that the divinity Pedos has granted divine flames. He calls upon a red-headed boy from the crowd and instructs him to use these flames to punish a captured demon until it has made up for its sins. Despite the demon's threats, the boy, motivated by the death of his father at the hands of demons, uses the flames to attack the creature while the crowd cheers for its destruction. Meanwhile, a demon named Baltars, who has spent 34 years corrupting humans, finds himself captured and interrogated by a machine. The machine, referred to as Surspin, uses big data and logical inference to extract information, employing 15% holy water as a torture method whenever the demon is uncooperative. Baltars is designated as hostage number 14 and is pressured to provide more information because his initial information text of 30,564 characters fell short of the average provided by previous hostages. Under the threat of being deemed unnecessary and eliminated, the demon desperately asks what he should say. After extracting information from 32 beings, Surspin reports to his master, the King of the Lion Heart, and a demigod, that the gathered information is 89% consistent and likely true. The king, who finds the song of justice, the screams of the demons, lovely to hear, suddenly experiences physical pain, chest pain, a high heart rate, and difficulty breathing. This physical reaction stems from his absolute intolerance for the fact that demons live and breathe on the same land as him. Declaring it time for a late-night outing, to eliminate the cause of his distress without delay, the king and Surspin set out into the night. The atmosphere was thick with the scent of corruption. In the depths of a dark venue, voices whispered in a mix of hunger and fear at the sight of a human. A grand being warned its companion not to look too long at the inferior prostitutes, claiming a mortal is easily corrupted. Suddenly, a confrontation broke out. A figure cursed a stupid little intruder for daring to step foot into his venue of entertainment. The air was heavy. A dense, evil energy radiated from the great demon of pleasure and corruption, Androgen, a creature described as lacking both common sense and a backbone. He was a goblin who had tasted sudden success. Know your place, beast. A voice barked at Androgen. The challenger reminded the goblin that his lord and most of the great demons were dead, questioning if Androgen truly thought they were on equal footing. Androgen shot back, telling them not to be arrogant. He claimed that it wasn't just his own lord who died during the Great Ascension, 180 years ago, but theirs as well. He recalled the merciless events of that time, when the five evils first united to take over the world. The result had been a massacre. 3 demon lords and over 10 million demons were slaughtered. Androgen, a survivor of that heaven-like carnage, sneered at the beasts who have given in to their instincts. Androgen then presented an offer he claimed could not be rejected. He vowed to push the bastard into the deepest hole possible. He noted that an order from a most distinguished great demon was nearing completion. Even if the target held on, she was a mere mortal, and her end was near. Calculations were made. The possibility of winning was cited as 7-3 in favor of Androgen. An S-rank mage suggested that if they both stepped in, victory would be guaranteed. However, the mage hesitated, earning the label of a pussy-ass bastard. They decided to move toward the corpse harvesters near the palace forest, creatures known for their intense attack power. Deep in the forest, a corpse harvester let out a low, guttural groan. Nearby, a Grail Knight moved through the shadows with lethal precision. He utilized the divine law of silence, a power that blocked out all sound, even the noise of running horses, allowing him to kill every demon in the forest without being detected. Despite the stealth, the knight sensed an unpleasant energy nearby. There are still more, he observed as a satellite caught sight of a target at location 4B17. After the skirmish, he reflected on the strangeness of the situation while washing away the disgusting smell of blood. He wondered why so many high-ranked and elite demons of pleasure and corruption had taken residence in this specific gate. In the quiet of his respite, a presence he hadn't noticed suddenly appeared behind him. "You must be tired," a woman with long white hair and a crown whispered. "Why don't you rest?" Beatrice Aligier Sparrow, the queen of a small kingdom, approaches King Leon Dragoneel Leonheart of the Leonheart Kingdom. Leon reflects on her beauty, noting she exudes sensuality and is the type of symbol of downfall that would cause an ordinary person to drown without noticing. Beatrice asks Leon for a favor, to kill the general and his knights. She claims she is being kept incarcerated and watched by them, despite Leon's observation that the general did not seem capable of disloyalty. She promises to give him the kingdom in exchange and urges him to inspect the underground floors of the castle where the general is hiding something. Later that night, the general, Ricardo, barges into Leon's bedroom, claiming the situation is urgent. Leon questions why the general is not concerned that the queen is out at night while demons crawl over the kingdom. The general dismissively claims the queen has always been like that, and insists demons do not attack at night. Leon finds this bullshit, noting that an experienced general should know demons don't care about the time of day. When Leon mentions the queen's claim of being incarcerated, the general shuts down the conversation, stating it is not a matter for an outsider. Suspicious of the truth, Leon decides to investigate the underground floors and enlists Sir Spin to check on something. Meanwhile, a demon leader named Sir Androgen commands his forces to taint and corrupt their enemies, promising 100 slaves to the first to climb the castle walls. As the demons attack, a massive spear strikes the battlefield, releasing souls. Leon Dragoneel Leonheart appears before the false living beings, declaring that as the king of the Lion Heart, he will teach these evils the preciousness of life. Elsewhere, General Ricardo is told that the outsider, Leon, will take care of the battle. Ricardo focuses on a seal, noting that with a bit more patience, 100 years of resentment will complete. However, he is interrupted when he notices the presence of Kurik. A captive demon tries to manipulate a hunter, pleading for her ties to be undone while promising something good in return. Suddenly, a system notification appears. Legion reinforcement. Corruption resistance has been activated. The demon is shocked that an ordinary human could resist her seduction. The Night King intervenes, disgusted by the demon's attempt to corrupt his soldier. He strikes the creature down, ignoring her pleas for forgiveness and declaring that he does not need an answer from such a dirty and disgusting creature. To those watching, the king appears more demonic than the demon itself. After the skirmish, a soldier notes the strange lack of celebration from the public despite their great victory. The king explains that because demons can so easily corrupt humans, the war against them is unending, leaving only the elite to celebrate. He advises that to truly win over the citizens, they must make the people hang the demons themselves and watch their disgusting souls die out. The king then leads his group into the castle underground, despite warnings that they aren't permitted there. They discover a hidden area containing a bed, which the king suspects is the secret the queen mentioned. As they pull back a curtain, they find a woman lying there. The sight of her is overwhelming. The soldiers are immediately struck by her beauty, with some even beginning to drool as they fall under a supernatural charm. The king shouts for them to resist, realizing his own aura isn't enough to protect them from this dark energy. He has to manually intervene, striking his men to snap them out of their trance. One soldier manages to snap back to reality by harming himself to resist the temptation, earning a rare O of acknowledgement from the king. The king then uses a holy chalice to perform a purification, instructing his men to breathe and clear their minds. An older knight appears, surprised that the king was not seduced by Her Majesty. The king remains unfazed, noting that the queen's coquetry is a magic close to a curse that pulls beings into corruption. He compares it to a power he has seen before, the Lady of Pleasure, but notes something strange. He does not sense that same demonic energy coming from this queen. The king performing a ritual. Dropping a petal into his chalice, he calls upon a higher power. Dear divinity of dream and death, your guardian wishes for your blessing. A divine, white-haired figure appears in a burst of purple energy, addressing the king as Ariana's knight, owner of the lion heart. She declares that she shall respond to his calling. With a divine summons, Plu, the divinity of dream and death, descends to meet Ariana's knight, the owner of the lion heart. The divinity immediately senses a disturbance. The demons of corruption have caused a mess within an endless dream, where they are creating a corrupt consciousness. Plu commands these entities to show their true selves, noting that dreams are something one must eventually wake from. A death knight appears, surprising those present. The protagonist realizes that they are facing an authority, a power capable of creating an entire world. The Death Knight, driven by a singular purpose, repeats his mantra. Greater than the Queen's rest, don't interrupt it. Protect the Queen. Protect the seal. Greater than. King Leonhard observes that this Death Knight is different. He isn't a corrupted being fueled by pure viciousness, but one still bound by his former duty. Leonhard concludes that this entire Gates dream originated from the Queen. He believes that if he can greet the Queen, the dream will naturally end. A battle ensues. The Death Knight accuses Leonhard of betraying the honor of a knight by engaging in a 1v1 duel while others attack from the sides. Leonhard retorts that he betrayed that kind of honor a long time ago. Despite being an undead, a state that should have made him weaker, the Death Knight proves to be a formidable opponent. Leonhard strikes a decisive blow, defeating the royal bodyguards and bringing his sword to the Death Knight's throat. He admonishes the fallen knight, telling him that distorted honor and pride cannot protect anything and urges him to wake from this vain dream, or risk living in an absurd fantasy for eternity. As Leonhard reflects on the situation, he finds something strange. While others became unfaithful, the Queen's apostles did not. He questions why a queen who seemed to care for her people would ask him to kill them, leading him to wonder if she isn't actually a villain. The truth is revealed through a flashback. The Queen had made a deal with a demon, specifically, the great demon of pleasure. To save her kingdom from the brink of ruin and the slaughter of her people, she agreed to a harrowing contract. She would harbor the essence of corruption within herself. She would relive the collapse of her kingdom for 100 years. In exchange, the demon promised to save her and her people. The deal was a trap. While the first few years were manageable, the demon's influence was crafty and cunning. 5 years in, corruption spread. People lost their minds to endless pleasure and torture. The Queen's torment. By day, she watched demons slaughter her people. By night, the corrupted ones whispered to her. The trap. There were no loopholes. Those who committed suicide to escape the contract would become wandering spirits in the netherworld, and once the 100 years ended, everyone would become a servant of corruption. By the 50-year mark, the Queen was slowly going insane. Her loyal knight, General Ricardo Buns, could no longer reject his own desires and eventually entered the Queen's bed. Realizing that those still alive could not endure the seduction, General Buns made a desperate decision. To protect the Queen and maintain their allegiance without falling to corruption, he and his knights committed suicide. They chose to become wandering spirits and servants of corruption rather than betray their Queen's honor. With the revelation of the tragic sacrifice made by the Queen's knights. To resist her temptation, they killed themselves and became Death Knights, successfully sealing the Queen for 80 years. However, their power has waned, and they have only been able to force her into a slumber for half a day at a time. Leon acknowledges their extreme loyalty, even though the Queen had previously asked him to kill them. Addressing the goddess Plu, Leon senses the approaching threat. He commands the demons to arise and the soldiers of the King of the Lion Heart to awaken from their long sleep to fulfill their duties. As the battle resumes, demons trespass the castle walls in overwhelming numbers. Leon orders his troops to raise their shields, maintain their positions, and deter the enemy, promising that he will take care of the rest. The enemy forces utilize a terrifying ability called frenzification, which turns pain into pleasure for the attackers. As the front lines struggle against the irritating buff used by the great demons of pleasure, Leon realizes he needs more charged power to turn the tide. Despite the doubt of some who believe it is over, Leon rallies his strength for the Leonhearts. He calls upon the general and the spirits of the knights, acknowledging their loyalty to the queen. The Death Knight General, recognizing Leon as a king of foreign lands, decides to place his bets on Leon's ability to bring about change. In a climactic moment, Leon invokes the divinity of war and fire. He stands as a symbol of hope, consumed by divine flames, promising to stand before his people forever until they can stand on their own. The battle rages on. I, the Lion Heart, the best horseman of the divinity of war and fire, Petos. A voice cries out, requesting a fire of war to punish the evil residing here. The king of the Lion Heart acknowledges his comrade, telling him to rest and promising to lead them to victory. Warnings fly as the king charges onto the front lines alone. It's dangerous. Someone yells, but the enemy orders his death. The king scoffs at the inferior beings, questioning if they even know what cavalry is, charging means to wield both sword and spear. As he advances, the system applies the strongest attacker status. The enemy is in disbelief. What is that? Why can't we hold him back for even a second? They desperately order the magic cannons to fire, but the king is unfazed. There is no honor in such cowardly long-ranged weapons, he declares. Suddenly, Ranger Hater is applied to the Legion, and a divine law, less than arrow nullification greater than, protects them. System messages flash rapidly. Charge bonuses increase by 400%, 120%, and 100%. Physical attack resistance for the assault force increases by 35%, while the evil species charge defense drops by 80%. The allies' blades are imbued with less than flaming sword greater than, and a massive debuff hits every demon within a 1 kilometer radius. The enemy commander is panicked. I don't sense him. Where has the king of the Lion Heart gone? The king appears, demanding they endure for just 1 minute. The demon realizes that even though it's just one more person than before, the knights of this fallen nation are incredibly strong. You, the king of the Lion Heart, the demon growls. Are you the one that killed Dothradin? The king pauses. Dothradin. Ah. You mean that ill demon who walked around with a giant bag of fat on him? I killed the rest of them by ripping them to shreds. All of you inferior perverts will meet the same fate soon. You just have a bit more limbs for me to shred. The demon, Androgen, screams in rage, vowing to kill the king. They clash, and the king mocks his opponent's reliance on magic. You're not throwing with your own power, you're depending on the power of magic. That is why you're all so weak. The king deflects every attack, beginning to shred the demon's limbs as promised. In a last-ditch effort, the demon activates Crown of Desire, a skill meant to make any living being succumb to savage instincts. But the king remains unaffected. Even the Lady of Pleasure could not tempt me. So, how would something like you be able to tempt me? Terrified, the demon tries to flee, but a divine being, a golden lion, intervenes, blocking his path. Wait. Why, you're a coward. A divine being interfered in the fight. You knights are supposed to be all about fairness. The king looks down at him coldly. Certainly, it's not honorable for a third person to intervene in a duel. However, honor has no place among you demons. Because this is not a duel. This is an extermination. With a final, massive blast of light, the king finishes the job. The demon of pleasure and corruption, Androgen, is dead. The kingdom originally enjoyed a period of immense abundance and peace. This ended when demons began an invasion. Although the kingdom initially won several victories, the queen realized the war was unwinnable because the demons would return even after being killed. To protect her people, the queen made a deal with a demon. She would harbor the essence of corruption, and relive the kingdom's collapse for 100 years. If she remained uncorrupted, the invasion would cease. However, it was a trap. The citizens, knights, and the queen herself were quickly drowned in evil. Eventually, a knight who could not suppress his desires invaded the queen's bedroom, sealed her in underground chambers, and killed himself to become a ghost. Purification and the deal with the goddess. In the present, Leon Leonhardt inspects a corrupted crown and weapon used by the demon. He presents the crown to a goddess, Dream, who explains that it possesses the power of sex demons, used to lure people into illusions. Leon gives her the wicked item to extract its power or dispose of it. Leon then makes a request to the deities Dream and War, to take the souls of the fallen kingdom. The goddesses conditions. Initially, the gods are hesitant. War notes that these souls are undead, and have been outcasted from the cycle of life and death. The goddess Dream further explains. No one in the pantheon would normally accept these souls into paradise. However, she is moved by their loyalty and Leon's personal request. The proposition. She offers to purify the souls and give them a chance at reincarnation if the queen agrees to become her priestess and help Leon spread faith. The queen accepts the deal to save her knights. The aftermath and honors. Leon returns to his own soldiers and receives a damage report. While the Grail healed most, 6 soldiers passed away. Leon leads a prayer for the fallen, asking the gods of war and fire to guide their souls to paradise. Despite several system messages stating the souls are unfit, due to low faith or lack of honor, an absolute effect is triggered. Absolute effect, the king of the lion heart has blessed the dead. Because of Leon's blessing, the fallen soldiers successfully enter paradise. The Hunter Association deployed all available hunters to respond to an unprecedented fluctuating gate. 1 week later, the survivors returned, having successfully cleared it. Association President Oh Kang-hyuk registered Beatrice as a survivor and expressed grief for the fallen hunters. In a discussion with the president, it is confirmed that the gate was a fluctuating red gate, containing a great demon. The king expresses his intent to meet the families of the deceased personally, as they were his soldiers. He warns the president that demons will soon invade Earth and insists on revealing the videos to gather more hunters and knights for the coming war. Feeling the urgency of the demons' movements, the king travels to the paradise of the dead. He is greeted by Anjak Protesia, the great saintess. Argan Majesty Leonhardt, the former king of the Lion Heart. The former king reveals that it has been 180 years since new souls arrived in this realm. The king explains he has come to seek the predecessor's wisdom, because the situation on Earth is critical. The king enters the forest to meet the sages, identified as the lawful lord of Dragonia and the owner of holy relics. He meets his longtime friend, Gunrar, the youngest sage. The request. The king asks for Gunrar's seedling. The warning. He explains that Earth is under demonic invasion and the enemy has already begun infiltrating, much like they did to the Empire. The gift. Gunrar grants him the seedling, noting that the king is the only one who can take items from that realm. Before leaving, other spirits offer the king legendary items to aid his quest. Sir Gratis gifts the reins of a renowned animal trainer that can tame monsters. Former king gives him a legendary training manual titled, How to Use Serfs to Kill Giants. Saintess Anjak provides a holy relic of a saintess to protect him until his holy sword is reborn. The king returns to the physical world and visits a mysterious woman with long white hair. He waits outside her door, stating he cannot enter without her permission. She eventually invites him in, noting how serious he is. The chapter opens with the Night King apologizing to Queen Beatrice for the lack of suitable accommodations for a queen. Despite the destruction of her nation, Beatrice maintains her regal aura, though she is still struggling with the essence of corruption within her that her divinity cannot yet fully purge. During a farewell drink, the king offers Beatrice a place in his quest. She accepts out of a sense of debt and a desire for vengeance against Ki, the archdemon of pleasure. The two bond over their shared, brutal methods of executing demons, such as boiling them or hammering nails under their claws to ensure they feel pain. The king assigns Han Hari to serve as Queen Beatrice's attendant, insisting that a royal requires proper treatment and servants. Beatrice, sensing Hari's fiery energy, offers to critique her sword technique. The lesson is harsh. The critique. Beatrice notes that Hari's movements are too large and she lacks control over her fire mana, which dissipates too easily. The advice. She instructs Hari to concentrate the flame into a deadly blow, rather than just imbuing the sword. The homework. Hari is ordered to practice a shortened, powerful swing 10,000 times a day. Administrative overload and the maid incident. That night, Hari is overwhelmed by administrative duties, including reporting to the association president, sourcing food for soldiers, and handling taxes. She enlists the help of Sir Yappy, a supercomputer, to manage the accounting and logistics. While Yappy successfully applies for tax benefits and agricultural acts, a misunderstanding occurs when Hari asks for a servant's uniform. Yappy uses big data to determine that servant clothing in a kingdom similar to middle-aged Europe equals a maid uniform. However, Yappy purchases the most popular items from online brands, which turn out to be sexy maid uniforms, with suggestive reviews, leading to what the narration calls the evil influence of big data. The atmosphere at the Hunter Academy's A class was buzzing. A lot more people had shown up than Han Suho and Kim Jae-hyuk originally expected. It was only natural, considering that a few days ago, the great King Leon had visited the academy. His arrival was anything but subtle. Leon announced that instead of mere soldiers, he was there to find seedlings of knights. He offered to teach them swordsmanship, spearmanship, horse riding, and, to everyone's confusion, theology. The students were initially skeptical, even offended. When one student mentioned they specialized in archery, Leon's response was characteristically harsh. "I'm failing you." That sort of attitude fits a soldier. While they complained about his audacious and arrogant attitude, Leon quickly silenced their doubts with a display of overwhelming power. He demonstrated simple divine laws that allowed anyone to use magic, though Leon corrected them, stating it shouldn't be called something as common as magic. Among the attendees was Cheon So-yeon, the granddaughter of the Divine Sword Guild's master. Despite being insulted as a peasant by Leon previously, she couldn't stay away after seeing the impact of his teachings. The influence of Leon's pantheon was growing rapidly. Their TV channel had reached 530,000 subscribers, sharing videos of how low-rank hunters survived fluctuating gates through divine laws and regular worship of the goddess Demera. Meanwhile, at the Pantheon, things were a bit more chaotic. Han Suho noticed Hari Nuna was still using an old-ass phone, despite having money, only to learn she had donated most of her earnings to an orphanage. While she was on dispatch at the Pantheon, a misunderstanding involving a sexy cutie maid uniform and big data occurred. Sir Yappy, relying on data with a 99.999% dependability rate, had convinced a reluctant Hari to wear the outfit to greet guests. The reunion was a disaster. Leon was appalled by the dirty attire and ordered her to change immediately, while Suho could only watch the awkward scene unfold. The focus then shifted to Jeju Island, where a red gate had appeared. Wang Jiamxiao and the Golden Lion Guild were desperate to make up for financial losses suffered at the Cheongju Gate. They met with Li Yongwan, a senior hunter who had been laying low since a government blackmailing incident. Tensions were high as they argued over a 6-4 payment split for the mission. As the hunters gathered, including S-class hunter Ha Yuri from the Phoenix Guild, they prepared to enter a lower black S-rank gate. However, the situation inside was far more dire than expected. They were met by a terrifying presence. Geovric, the Honorable Leonhardt's Grail Knight. As Geovric prepared to bestow divine punishment upon them, a system quest triggered for the hunters: save those being slaughtered. The clear condition was set. They had to defeat the magnificent Geovric. The tension in the air was thick as the confrontation began. A powerful figure looked down at those he deemed outsiders, questioning why they had harmed the royal military. He stood ready, noting that the next move of his warhammer depended entirely on their answer. One of the outsiders tried to explain that it was a misunderstanding, that the knight had attacked them first, leaving them no choice but to defend themselves. The leader turned his anger toward Delian Mchain, scolding him for his rash actions. And for dirtying the name of the goddess. After Delian apologized, the leader turned back to the outsiders to offer his own apology, though he noted that the sin of an inferior mercenary killing 6 kingdom soldiers was severe. In a chilling declaration of justice, he decided that since 6 had passed away, he would take 60 heads in return. The scene shifted to the soldier training grounds, a place lacking modern facilities where people seemed to survive only on water. The training was brutal, described by observers as beating him up until blood bursts. Despite the insanity of the scene, it was explained that there was a deeper meaning behind such methods. His Majesty arrived to address the visiting students. He instructed a girl named Hari to stand with them, telling her she needed to prepare to become a mission knight and to aim higher. He then issued a challenge to the 40 students: raise your swords and attack me. He promised that because he held the Holy Grail, they didn't need to worry about injuries. The battle was one-sided. The king moved so fast they couldn't see him, taking them down one by one. After the dust settled, he noted that they still had a long way to go, as he had expected them to at least be on the level of a knight-errant. While the students recuperated from what felt like a boss raid, the king explained the hierarchy of his kingdom's knights. Knight-errant. Those yet to be appointed. Kingdom knights. Those who have proven themselves and received an appointment. War knights. Those who command other knights. Mission knights. Those who leave everything behind to wander for decades in search of God's quest. Grail knight. The level reached after accomplishing a quest from goddess Ariana. Finally, he revealed the ultimate title, Grail Guardian. This title belongs to the single Grail Knight who succeeds the King of the Lion Heart. With a sharp smile, he warned the students that trying to possess that title meant challenging his kingship, an act that would normally result in being killed on the spot. He admitted his power was currently weakened to the level of a Grail Knight, but as the students looked at the destruction around them, they could only wonder how he could possibly be considered weaker. I woke up with a pounding headache, feeling like my head was going to explode. I couldn't remember why I was unconscious or recall anything that had just happened. As I came to, a woman named Hildir, a shaman of the Woodsling tribe, greeted me and called me a hero. She told me I had defended them against the kingdom's ruthless troops. My sister appeared, calling me a brat, and I learned that I had been out for a whole day. My memory was a complete blank. I only vaguely remembered pulverized ground and somehow escaping. It turned out we had barely escaped after a spell failed, pursued relentlessly by a monster. The Woodsling tribe helped us, but I had been hit with a hammer while fighting that thing. I had been teetering on the edge of death for 2 days, and the shaman saved me. Our healers couldn't recover for some reason. We learned that Geovric, the Grail Knight, can curse others to prevent their wounds from healing, reversing the powers of recovery and regeneration. To help me, Hildir had imprinted a spell on me, special markings unique to the local tribes that aided my recovery. At a tribal meeting, Chief Beldy explained that the Crown's army had been slaughtering and pillaging them for years, branding them heretics and even skinning their comrades. They turned to the gods for help, and we, heroes, answered the call. We realized how strong the enemy was. Even with 3 S-class hunters and a 150-person raid team, Geovric was a monster. He has armor that can withstand a giant bull's charge and flesh that heals even when charred. Only armor-penetrating items like Yin Ha's Vambrace worked on him. Fortunately, the tribe's Mazer's molar marking provides a 35% increase in armor penetration, plus a 20% increase in strength and endurance. Meanwhile, at June Ranch on Jeju Island, Leon arrived to train academy cadets. He emphasized that for a knight, a horse is a lifelong companion and that bonding is crucial. He instructed everyone to approach a horse they liked to try and connect with it. Leon assisted a noble lady onto a black steed while being quite blunt with others, telling one woman to move aside, so he could help the lady. The training was interrupted by an urgent call from Okanghyuk, the association president. He reported an imminent dungeon break. Though Leon initially stated assisting them wasn't his responsibility, the president caught his interest by mentioning the goddess of life and abundance. The field boss of the gate is someone claiming to be that knight.